Hey everyone, what's growing on? My name is Scott, and welcome to the very first episode of Grow Your Victory. The purpose of this channel is to document the growth of a community garden that I'm working on here in my hometown. And we've got a little bit of a base to start with. Let me show you around, and we'll talk a little bit about our plans going forward. So, the idea for a community garden started last year. Our local Boy Scout troop, one of the Eagles, built these elevated beds as part of their Eagle Scout project, and they look terrific. I think we're going to have some issues going forward with structural stuff, but when that happens, we will reuse the wood here. We're not going to let anything go to waste. But what we are going to do is put in some hügelkultur mounds over here along this side. You can see we get good sunlight when the sun actually comes out. It snowed. We got an inch of snow in Michigan this morning. It's the 9th of April. Pretty much ready to be done with that and get the season underway. And then over here along this property line, we're going to install some fruit trees. Probably do 2 rows, a dwarf variety and a mini variety. And we'll use these raised beds for things like herbs and carrots and onions and things of that nature this summer. So, that's what we're up to. Our plan today is to put together a 3-stage compost bin. So let's grow. So what we have for our compost bins are pallets. Buy pallets used at the hardware store for $2 a piece. Makes this a nice cheap $14 project. We're going to screw these together using some deck screws that'll hold up well in the weather, hold up a lot longer than the wood will. Let's get a couple of these tacked together and then I'll show you what we're doing. So you can see our strategy here. It's nothing terribly complicated. We're just tacking these things together with 3-inch deck screws. A little something like this. Snug them up nice and tight. And you can see that tighten right up. And we're not going overboard here, nothing crazy. We're doing about 3 screws per joint. We'll go ahead and get this next middle board put in, or middle pallet, and then we'll do the end, and that'll be it for this setup. Well, there we go. We've got a nice 3-stage compost bin constructed. Didn't take us long. Didn't cost us very much. This stuff should be good and sturdy, last us for many years. The slats and the pallets will allow plenty of airflow in and out, help with our composting, and that feels good. Feels good to get the first thing done in our garden. So, next step is going to be to head back to the house and cut some boards to do some of our raised bed hügelkulturs. We'll show you that as well. We'll show you Lily, my beagle pup, as she investigates this pile of wood chips that was put here last year. And yeah, I can't tell you how good it feels to get something accomplished in the garden. I have been chomping at the bit to get this project started for over a month now, but I kind of alluded to the weather earlier. It's been a heck of a spring this year so far here in Southwest Michigan. In fact, if you ask me how spring has been, I would say, well, I'll let you know when it gets here, because like I said, we had some snow this morning. It's been unseasonably cold well into the month of April, and our typical last frost date here is April 16th, so to have snow on the 9th is a little bit disconcerting, but we're getting some stuff done. We're gonna be ready when the season does get here so that we can make it as productive as possible. Alright, well, we got inside, we got a little bit of lunch, we got warmed up, now we're back at it. We are going to cut the boards for our beds, and this couldn't be any simpler. I've got some 10-foot 2x8 treated cedar tone from Menards, and I've got these two 8-footers. Our beds are going to be 4-foot by 10-foot, that way we'll be able to easily reach in and do what we need to do in the garden. All we have to do is cut these two end boards to length, and we'll be ready to go. Now, treated lumber, for whatever reason, is always just a very little bit longer than the advertised. So, this is 96 5/8. So I want to account for that extra 5/8 when I make my cut, so that I don't end up with extra material on one end and not on the other. It's really not that important, but I don't know, I'm weird like that. So we go with 48 and right there. All right. Once we figure that out, all we do is take our speed square, mark them, mark it, and now we're going to cut it with the old circular saw. So, as we used to say when I was in college, measure with the micrometer, then mark it with chalk, and then cut it with an axe. So, here we go. And we all fall down. Alrighty gang, we're back up here at the garden. You can see we've got one of our 4x10 raised beds assembled. Just getting ready to put the finishing touches on the other one. We're in trouble because my screw gun is going to die presently. So I just wanted to talk a little bit. Take a look here. If you're familiar with Luke from M.I. Gardener, and if you're not, you really should check out his channel. It's a great channel. He talks about building these boxes with the ends sitting like this. And the reason for that is because the screws going into that board are supposed to provide more rigidity against the most of your force, which is going out there. And I tend to agree with them on that from a strength standpoint, but I'm going to mount these like this. And the reason for that is because in between these, I'm going to run cattle panels for trellises to support climbing vegetables like sweet peas and pole beans. And those cattle panels are 50 inches across. Well, if you were to move those joints to sit like this, you would only have 48 inches of width. But if you do them like that, then you'll have 51, or in this case, 51 1/4 or so. The screw gun's about to die. I'm hoping we can get these last couple of screws in here. But this will be it for today. After this, we'll clean up and figure out what I'm going to make for the family for dinner. So, that one went well. Cinch this one up tight too. Perfect. Alrighty, gang. Thank you so much for joining me here on the very first ever episode of Grow Your Victory. If you don't mind, hit a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be putting out more content as the garden season progresses. Thank you all for coming out. Hope you have a great day. And remember, grow your victory.